Hello, fellow YouTubers. LEGO WC Stop Motioner here. Welcome to viewers new and old. And today I'm getting back to reviewing some Sonic action figures by Jakks Pacific. I did a couple of these, but I didn't really get in the flow of doing it. So what I'm planning to do, since I'm not really the best at reviewing something that doesn't transform, I'm planning on reviewing them in teams. So I'm going to do Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. Then I'm planning on doing all the Chaotix, then Shadow, Rouge, and Omega, and so on and so forth. So today, I already mentioned, these are the three figures I'll be looking at. So who better to start off with than Sonic? Now Sonic is the only one I don't have the card for because I got him in a 2-pack with Metal Sonic. So this figure is a little infamous for being repacked all the time, but we'll get onto that more in a minute. Overall though, it's very solid. Now I happen to have the one with the teeth showing, and his eyes seem a little bigger than they should be, but otherwise I think he looks really good. The eyes are a nice green, and he's got the teeth. His nose, the paint has liked to come off the tip of the nose in the past with some of these figures I've had. So hopefully it doesn't happen with this guy. And since this is really the only one I can do it with, here's a comparison with the Jazzwares Sonic, the 3-inch one. This is the only Jazzwares figure I have. In retrospect, I wish I got more figures from this line, but oh well. At least Jakks is making just about every character Jazzwares did and more. I mean, they've almost beaten them. They just have to do the more Rider stuff and Gamma. Really, I feel like they beat Jazzwares in terms of character variety. These figures both look really good, and I feel like they're both good for what they do. This one definitely has the better posability. But this one does have a cracked elbow, at least mine does. And he's got the paint chipping out the end of the nose, as I mentioned earlier. I do like how the mouth is just sculpted in. It's not sticking out as much. Like, I can see why people like using, that's one of the reasons I can see why people like using these for stop motions, aside from the posability. But otherwise, in terms of sculpts, not really a whole lot different work going on. Now in terms of his accessory, the one I have came with a spring, and it's not really the greatest accessory. I can just push it down a little bit, and that's all the more I'm going to do with it, because I don't really collect the play sets. Jakks is very hit or miss with their accessories. They seem like they're getting a little bit better, but I'm not sure if that's going to stick. Well, there is a little bit of bleeding over. It's really fairly clean, the paint going on with the shoes. Got the yellow belt buckle, white strap going across the top, the red. Got treads on the bottom of the shoes. Got quills that are a nice size. Ears are painted pretty well. Again, the paint quality on mine may not be as good as it normally is with this figure, just because, again, the one I have came in a 2-pack. Still, overall, I'd say the sculpt work is good. And he's got one open hand and one closed fist. So I kind of changed it up from figure to figure. Now, in terms of his articulation, head is on a ball joint. You can't really get a whole lot of up and down movement, but you definitely get side to side. Shoulders can go full 360. They can go up about that far before they collide with the head. Nothing at the elbows. I feel like the thing they go with sometimes is that the elbows just have a slight bend in them. And I feel like this is pretty good. Like, some of the figures, I feel like they bend the elbows a little too much. Here, I think it's bent just enough. And the wrists are on ball joints, so you get some nice movement there. Now the Jazzwares one had a waist swivel, but I don't feel like that's entirely necessary anyway. Legs can go forward that far and back that far. They're on very soft ratchets. You have a knee bend. The knee rotates a little. I don't know if that's entirely ideal, but... And the ankles are ball jointed. That is not a feature of the Jazzwares one, and ball jointed ankles do wonders for Sonic figures because a lot of times they have a hard time standing. But thanks to the ball joints in the ankles, you're not really going to have much of an issue with that. So I really appreciate that. So overall, this figure doesn't really do anything amazing, but I feel it does everything it's supposed to do. Again, if they just keep repacking this figure, and they have one with a closed mouth and one with an open mouth. And those are the main two Sonics they rotate between. I get why Sonic is the one they keep repacking. He is the name of the franchise after all. But they need to do more things to change it up. Like, give us the soap shoes and just do the one with the gauntlet and he has Excalibur. Those would be very easy to do. One, they just have to change the shoes. The other one, they just have to change one of his hands and give him a sword. And give us the Riders variant, which is a little more likely. Give us the Werehog. Give us the full armored Black Knight Sonic. Like, they got options, but we pretty much get this one with the showing teeth, one with the closed mouth, and the Supersonic from time to time. Just a little variety would be appreciated. But still, aside from my gripes with the constant repacks, it's still a solid figure, and if you are just now getting into these, at least you're not going to have any sort of issue finding this guy, unless the store you go to just doesn't carry this line in general. So, that's Sonic. Okay, so next up we have Tails, and I have the Wave 7 version. The description, it says, Tails is an energetic fox and one of Sonic's closest friends. Okay, so here we have the figure. He comes with a checkpoint, a blue checkpoint. It's not bad. It's pretty nice. It's got a neat little spring-loaded feature, but again, I'm not really going to be using this for anything, so... Now, the Tails figure itself is really nice. I opted out of getting the one that that had like the standard Tails. Like, I like the ones where it looks like they're rotating more. That's just my preferred look. I know not everyone likes the open mouth. I don't mind it too much. It's not as over the top on like the Amy figure. He's got nice blue eyes, as he should. He's got the little black line around his shoes right there. He's got the white on the tips of his tails. He's got the little tuft of hair. Ears are painted pretty nicely. He's got the nose there. And the kind of stomach white fur is nice. The kind of grayish part on the wrist cuffs. Now, I do think this one might be a little over the top in terms of how much the elbows are bent. I still don't think it's too bad, just pushing it a little bit. Now, in terms of his articulation, head is on a ball joint, but again, you can't really get a whole lot of up or down movement. You definitely get right and left. Now, shoulders are going to be a little problematic because just the design of his head. They're designed to do a full 360, just going to be a little difficult. They can go up that far. The wrists are on ball joints. And he has one open hand, so I guess he can hold his accessory. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but got that option. Then the legs can go forward that far. Again, just going to be a little limited due to the nature of the design. You can go back about that far. Go out to the side if you want. You get a knee bend, which is pretty nice. The knees are a little thin, makes me kind of nervous. That's not too bad. Ankles are on ball joints. Now, Tails doesn't really have as bad as stability issues, and even when his figures do, you usually have the tails to kind of help him stand up. And of course, the tails can rotate. They collide with his head a little bit, so that might not be very efficient. He'll be knocking himself out. Yeah, overall, I'd say it's a nice figure. In terms of if you're wanting to get him, he doesn't get repacked all the time, but still fairly frequently. There's one out right now, and if I'd known it was coming, I probably would have skipped this guy. The current one that's out with Wave 12 comes with the Miles Electric. I would have much rather had that than this checkpoint accessory. But seeing as how that wave has absolutely atrocious distribution, maybe it's best I got this guy when I had the chance. So yeah, if you want to get him, you're gonna have some chances, I think. You can still find Wave 7 occasionally at Walmart, so yeah, that's Tails. Overall, solid figure. Alright, so now we got Knuckles. And it says, Knuckles is a red echidna and can use his immense strength and the spikes on his fist to smash enemies, climb walls, or even destroy solid rock. And I have the Wave 11 version. Now, out of these three, I would say Knuckles is probably my least favorite. First off, again, the one I have just happens to come with another spring. Now, if you're lucky and able to get the Chaos figure that was released alongside this guy, you get the Master Emerald. That's a way cooler accessory. So yeah, he's not a bad figure at all. He does have an open mouth, which is a little odd, but his eyes look nice. He's got the kind of crest on his chest there. There was just no avoiding the rhyme there. Now, Knuckles is a figure I think I kind of would have liked to have seen both fists closed. That would have been nice. I was talking about Tails was kind of pushing it a little bit with the elbows being a little too bent. Well, this guy takes it way too far. This one, maybe I could get behind, but this one is just so awkward. And Knuckles has slightly thicker arms, so I feel like they probably could have fit an elbow joint in there without worrying about it breaking. So yeah, the elbows are a little problematic. Shoes are really nice though. Got the green right here, red and yellow in the middle. Got the Lego bricks on top. Here's the sculpt on the bottom of his shoes. Have his tail right here. Again, the overall sculpt work is nice. I just don't care for the decision they made with the position of the arms. And part of me was kind of hoping when we knew this guy was going to get repacked in Wave 11 that they would fix that issue, but they didn't, so oh well. Now, posability, it's a Knuckles figure, so as you can imagine, it's going to be a little limited. Head is once again on a ball joint, still not a lot of upward or downward movement, and not a lot of side to side. And shoulders are definitely problematic because of the dreadlocks. Now this I don't really blame on Jakks because it's just the character design that's a little hard to avoid. And then the wrists are on ball joints. And the legs, you can kick them forward that far and back that far. You rotate them and you get a knee bend. And you get ankle pivot. Again, Knuckles is a figure that's not as difficult to stand up either. But still, having ball jointed ankles, that's definitely appreciated. So here we have him with his Master Emerald. So, that's Knuckles. So that basically covers Team Sonic. Overall, some pretty solid figures. I do think Sonic is the most solid of the three. Then Tails is pretty nice. Knuckles, he's good, but could use a little work. That probably won't happen. Now in terms of if you're wanting to get these, again, Sonic, you're going to have no issue finding him whatsoever. Tails, He's a little difficult to find, but still definitely one of the easier ones to find overall in this line. Knuckles, he was repacked in Wave 11, so you might still see him occasionally at like Targets and Walmarts. Now, if you don't really care about the shiny paint too much, they did just recently do a Super 3-pack that has kind of metallic finished versions of Supersonic along with Tails and Knuckles. That's not my cup of tea, but if you just really want Knuckles, that Super Pack really is pretty easy to find, at least where I live, so there's an option there. So next I'll probably be taking a look at Team Dark, even if I've already reviewed all 3 members before. It's just I want to do them as a full team. Yeah, I'd say that about does it. That's my first video and kind of kicking off my Sonic reviews again. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm still planning on prioritizing Transformers, don't worry. Just as a fun extra thing I can do. So, if you like this video, please be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and God bless.